You're 15 years old. This wacky lady is telling you that you're going to be psychic and you're going to change the way millions of people view the subject matter. I was unnerved by what she was saying. Like, it was kind of creepy. So when people make fun of me, when they make fun of the subject matter, I am extremely forgiving because I was them. I did it. But I also am logical and I'm analytical and I could react to something that's factual when I see it.
You are committed to a level of authenticity that even in the book, you'll communicate things in an almost non-emotional way.
I didn't trust the producers, I didn't trust the network, and I'm like, how do I protect the integrity of what I do and not let it be bastardized for a show? Shows like Jerry Springer and Maury Povich, just none of those shows really tried to discredit me, so I was very lucky. I just didn't want crossing over the TV show to be a TV show.
Every single story that you have shared today, there's like a beautiful teaching in the story and you're just telling stories.
Here's something I can give everybody that's watching this right now, or if you're listening to this.
Oldish. The art of knowing more and caring less. With your host, Randy Spelling, Brian Austin Green, and Sharna Burgess.
John Edward, welcome to Oldish.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
I'm excited.
welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
I like watching you guys.
Dude, same.
I'm a fan.
My
So
God,
good to have you
huge
here.
fans. So this is it's cool to have people in here where it's like we can share in the fandom.
Right.
We
right.
can, like,
And the vibe here is kind of cool.
it's
I like
cool,
the,
right?
I like the whole
Yeah.
Thank
stormy
you.
environment here.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
This is just for you.
So I remember watching Crossing Over. Was that the first TV show that you did?
So I was a guest on a number of talk shows leading up to Crossing Over, at a time where like the daytime talk shows were huge. So
Like Phil Donahue and
Maury Povich.
Maury
Jerry
like,
Springer.
I didn't do Springer. I didn't do Phil Donahue. I did the Maurys, the Sally Jesse Raphael.
Sally Jesse Raphael with the red glasses.
Lisa Gibbons was amazing, wonderful woman who was very, very kind to me always.
Okay.
So a lot of talk shows.
Uh-huh.
And then my first love was radio. Radio was live and interactive. So to have the opportunity for people to call up and me to talk to them was just a really cool interactive thing. And then people didn't know what I looked like and they didn't care what I looked like. They just wanted the reading. So radio went into television, and then I had a book coming out. And I remember sitting in the conference room of the publishing company, and they said, you're going to have to do media for this. And I was like, I got that on lockdown. I said, I have phenomenal radio relationships across the country. I said, I will, do that. And the person in the meeting said, no, you're going to have to do television. And I said, no, I don't do TV. And she said, you don't do TV? And
You do now.
I go, no, I don't. I do radio. And she goes, oh, if you don't do TV, then we can't publish your book. And I was like, what? And she was very, very kind about it, but she let me know that radio didn't sell books at the time that television would.
This was early on too, and I mean, you
This
were
was
one of the
from-
pioneers. Really, you opened a lot of doors for what it is you.
Well, I will say this. I feel like before me came Shar Margolis. And
yeah.
Shar Margolis was somebody who was on like all the talk shows. Like she's the person who I say kicked the door open, and because of her, it was open. There was an opening for other people to do this. And I remember watching her on Sally Jesse Raphael.
Okay.
And there was an amazing kind of not cool moment that took place where the Sally show kind of tried to make the psychics on the show look bad. And Shar saved that show in such a big way for the subject matter. And I remember thinking like, wow, she's a badass. Like, look at her. Look what she's doing. And then when I got a chance to, meet her and we became friends, after doing talk shows like that, I then, I did the same thing with the talk shows that I did with radio. I became friends with the producers. And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do TV. And one of the producers said, well, let's talk. And I read for her. And then she introduced me to her partner, and they said, we'd like to do a show with you. I go, you want to do a show with me? I was like, can we do a radio show, like a national radio show? And at that time, there used to be like nighttime call-in shows, like Love Lines.
Loveline, which I did a bunch of, which is what we kind of crafted this. This was born out of Love Lines.
Right. So I used to listen to that while I would be driving back from events, and it was this great interactive thing. And I was like, wow, if that was like like psychic related, I can help a lot of people. And I was like, wow, these two women are being put in my path to help me do this like potential radio show. And she was like, no, we want to do television. I was like, television? I was like, nobody's gonna put me on TV. I'm like, that's not gonna happen. And they said, well, give me 6 months. Within like 6 months, we were in a pilot. And I'm like, what is happening? And then I'm like, well, they're never gonna pick this up. And then it got picked up for the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah,
and
how
then
many
I'm like,
seasons
well, this
of
is
that
not
show
gonna
did
get
you do?
renewed. And then it got renewed again. And then it was like, we're gonna go to syndication. I'm like, is this gonna get syndicated? And then it got syndicated internationally.
God.
So I wasn't psychic about that. I was actually blocked. I didn't really think it was gonna happen until it actually happened.
Is that because you tend to block your own stuff? Like, is it? I know a lot of people that are psychic and are in tune that way. They're not in tune with themselves necessarily because they.
It seems harder to be.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
think I think I was being logical. I was like,
Right.
I think I was
you
just
were being sensible
I just
in
was
it, and you're like, no,
who's gonna put this on TV? Like, I
Got
have
it.
zero
Okay.
track record hosting a show.
right.
You know, and then when it started to happen, I asked for a co-host. I was like, can I have a co-host? Because I don't want to do TV stuff. Like, let me just come out and read and get some TV person to come and like talk to the cameras and do all that. And Bonnie Hammer, who's like the executive at NBC, you know, super executive Bonnie Hammer, was running Sci-Fi, and she was like, no. She's like, no.
Just a hard
It's
no.
you.
Like,
Nope.
this isn't even a conversation we're having.
She literally came to one of my events. She came to an actual event, watched me do what I do, and she said, I want that. And you didn't have a co-host. You don't need a co-host.
Oh my God!
And
How
I just-
terrifying was that for you?
Pretty, not terrifying in the sense of I was afraid to do TV. I didn't trust anybody. So you guys both know television, right? You know
Yeah.
how television gets produced.
Yeah.
I didn't trust the producers. I didn't trust the network. And I'm like, how do I protect the integrity of what I do and not let it be bastardized for a show? While shows like Jerry Springer and Maury Povich and all of those type of
Yeah.
kind of like salacious.
They're trying to
watching-
prove what I do
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or,
Did you
or bastardize the subject matter?
did you find that then when you did go on other people's shows, that there was a part of you that was like, I want to prove people wrong that try and discredit what it is I do?
No,
or
because none of those shows really tried to discredit me, so I was very lucky. I just didn't want I didn't want crossing over the TV show to be a TV show.
just junk TV?
I wanted it to be an event that was televised.
Right.
And so there was a lot of push-pull when it came to the syndicated version of Crossing Over. The Sci-Fi version of it was amazing because it was shepherded by Bonnie Hammer. And Bonnie was just like the most amazing person for me at that time
Really?
to let the subject matter be what it needed to be. And then when it got into the syndication version of it, there was a lot more people involved. Her voice
course.
wasn't the voice that
Right.
was in charge anymore. And I was kind of a nightmare to work with because I was going to be protective of the subject matter. I wanted to make sure that I was going to protect the
Nightmare and
energy.
about. So I think people can misconceive that there are people that are a nightmare because they're just fucking divas and like you were
No,
only
no.
asking for
No.
green M&Ms, or there are people that are like the most important thing for me is how I'm represented and what it is I do and I will fight to the death to make sure that I'm doing what feels authentic and real to
Yeah,
me.
well, I when I walked onto the set of Crossing Over, the stage was like an illuminated circle. And I remember every time I walked onto the set, I walked on with the energy of I'm walking on for everybody who does this work. I'm not walking on for John Edward. I'm walking on for anybody that does something in metaphysics, and I want to show validity with integrity, and I want to help people. Like, that's what I was doing. And, you know, there were like funny moments that took place where it's like, I'm in the middle of doing a reading and they would like maybe ask me to, can I take a step back because I was out of my light? Can you say that again? No, I can't say that again. Like, well, if you're not over here, then you're not going to be in the cameras and we can't get coverage and we need you to be. And I remember saying, here's the deal. I'm going to do my job. You figure out how you people
do
have to
your
do your
job.
job, but do not interrupt me again.
Yeah.
Because I can't do another take of grandma coming through.
Right.
Like,
right.
it is what it is. Like, this
Yeah.
is how it has to be. And
yeah.
I remember like just going like, I'm all right, I'm over this. And like, I got 13 weeks of doing this and I'm done. And I stopped caring about like the TV stuff of it. I'm like, I'm just gonna go out and just do what I have to do. And I had a nonsensical, like, I don't give a whatever. And that
You can
week-
curse here, by the way.
Well,
yeah.
that week,
Yeah.
3 of the camera guys separately came up to the green room, my dressing room, and they all said something very similar. They were like, we don't know what you're doing differently this week, but keep doing it. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they said, we are old school New York camera guys. We've seen it. We've done it all. When we're looking down the lens of the camera, we're seeing the magic happening. And they mean the magic of television. And they go, but what you're creating now is helping people. And we're a part of that. Keep doing what you're doing.
Ooh.
That's
so what was it?
amazing.
What was that actual shift in you, do you think?
It was me going, I don't care about your lights. I don't care about the cameras. These people have been standing outside on 55th Street for 2.5 hours waiting to get in here. You know, like while you're adjusting lights and making sure everything's going, like, let's get to it. Let me read as many people as I possibly can.
So you just let it go.
Yeah. And when we first started, we had like 3 audiences a day of like over 150 people a day, 3 audiences a day. The load in, the load out, the load in, the load out. And I'm like, that's like people hurting. I'm like, we don't need 6 audiences a week. I need 1 audience. There's a lot of people in this audience. If these people are taking the time to come into the studio, let me read for them. Let me get to as many of these people who are coming in today.
Yeah.
So there's
Make
a lot
it interactive so
yeah.
then people are there and they really
Right.
accomplish
Yeah.
something
And-
getting to be in the audience. They're like,
And then
oh
there was
my
like,
God.
you know, a learning curve for the producers because as a producer, they want to be able to control everything. And I'm like, but you can't know the stories of people. You can't interview the people before they come in. And they're
Right.
like, but we have to. I'm like,
No,
no,
you can't.
You cannot. You can post-produce what happens.
Right.
And then slowly but surely, they all became part of the understanding of like, we're protecting the energy of the subject matter. We want to make sure this, we want to make sure that. And it became an amazing experience that I wish if I could time travel back to myself, then I would say, do everything you're about ready to do, but have fun. Like appreciate
Yeah.
the opportunity. Because I didn't have fun. Like
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it while I was doing it.
You know what though? We talk all the time about like, if I could go back and change something or do something different, what would I do? And the reality is like if you could go back and change that, you wouldn't be who you are now and having the
I
experience
wouldn't change
you have
anything,
now.
but I would
Right.
tell me to have fun.
Sure.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like,
Right.
like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I
Just
could-
have more fun. in it.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
or
Enjoy it a
or
little more.
appreciate the moment you're in. Here's something I can give everybody that's watching this right now, or if you're listening to this. I come from a very big Italian family on my mom's side, and Christmas was like really, really huge. Christmas Eve, like just 30, 40, 50 people at a holiday. And I remember one year, I was probably about 12. I said to my mom, this is kind of really like awesome. Like, I love this. I love all the people. I love all the energy. And she goes, if you think this is good, you had to see it when I was a kid. And I remember looking at her and I went, don't do that. And she goes, what? I go, these are my good old days. I was like, and I wasn't
Don't
part of
taint them with yours.
Don't taint them with that perspective. And I think I had maybe I was being inspired and divinely guided at that moment, but I had the knowing to appreciate that family vibe, that holiday, that connection, knowing that one day it may not be here. I had that then as a kid.
How old were you when you started really
Doing this? 15.
like really trusting what it is was coming in? And because I know that's a big, Randy's talked about that before. Like it's one thing, a lot of people get messages and things, but it's the people that really listen to those and start trusting them. And that's a big, so you were 15.
15. I was 15 when I was put on this path.
And that was from your mom. You talk about this in the book, which
Yeah.
we'll get to later, but tell us the story about your mom and this interaction.
My mom loved the subject matter. My grandmother loved the subject matter. So they did this all the time. Like they had psychics come to the house, card readers, seance was done once. Like this was something that was just like on that side of the family. My dad was not a fan. My dad was not interested in the subject matter and kind of forbid me to be connected to it. I had kind of like adopted his philosophy, like this was not real, something that the ladies do kind of a thing. They divorced. I moved into my grandmother's house. I witnessed a lot of the stuff, and I used to make fun of it. I would be the person that would be snarky and sarcastic and making jokes, and they would come out of the room and having a reading, and I'd be like, let me guess, you're going to Florida? And then my cousin would be like, yes, I'm going to Florida. How did you know? I'm like, because you're a New Yorker.
Right.
Everybody goes to Florida.
Everybody goes to
Why
Florida.
isn't anybody coming out of the room going to Kansas? Like, why are they all going to Florida? Right? So I was that person. So when people make fun of me, when they make fun of the subject matter, I am extremely forgiving because I was them. I did it. I understand. But I also am logical and I'm analytical, and I could react to something that's factual when I see it. And when I had a reading by somebody that came to the house, her name is Lydia Clark, she was highly specific, very accurate, and gave me outcomes to things that there's just no way possible that she would have known. I would have had to tell her. She would have had to have been with me. She would have had to know people that I was connected to, and then gave me very ridiculous outcomes to certain circumstances that then happened in a very short period of time. And my reading with her, she told me that this was going to be my work. This was what I was going to do. So you're 15 years old. This wacky lady is telling you that you're going to be psychic and you're going to change the way millions of people view the subject matter. Mm-hmm. I'm like, she's kind of crazy. But she was like confident crazy, you know? So I was like, all right, you know, like I'll just kind of listen to her say her thing until the rest of it started to like make me feel unnerved. And I was unnerved by what she was saying. Like it was kind of creepy, but creepy accurate.
And at this point, were you getting any messages? Did this just seem far out?
I was intuitive. I was having experiences, but I was rationalizing them away. Like for example, this guy and I have had a conversation. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I find interesting is that in my career, I have so many people want to like project to me, you know, I do what you do. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like really, really psychic. I'm this, I'm that. And when I watch your show and I listen to this gentleman speak, I'm sitting there going like, why doesn't he ever use the word like psychic? Like, why doesn't he ever use the word like intuitive? Like he's like tripping all over himself not to use the word.
Avoid, yeah.
And I'm like, I find that fascinating. And I want people like when they listen to this to recognize what I just said, because everybody's psychic, everybody's intuitive, but then there are people who take it to a place where they can utilize it and they use different words to try to frame it. And I'm teasing you because I did that when I was a kid. I was like, I don't want to use the word seance.
Is that for acceptance? Right. Is that so you're not judged by saying?
John's looking at me now.
And I'm looking at you also. Okay, let's go. Because you're very specific with the words you pick.
I watched the episode where you became the guest and you didn't realize you were going to become the guest.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Not to like, you know, ambush you, but.
I think
John would have known you were going to be the guest. Which is why John's not a part of this show.
I think it comes with a certain amount of pressure that if I'm working with my clients, let's say, and I say, I am intuitive, or I have these psychic moments, then there's maybe an expectation of what that looks like, or how that means. And I really don't want the pressure because for me, I just want to be as open as possible. And when things come through and how they come through, they just come through. But I feel like if I coin label myself as
you
that,
label it. So I kind of felt the same way. So when I was doing group stuff, I didn't want to use the word seance because seance has a connotation. Mm-hmm. You immediately think table, flowers, candle. Turban, dim lights, right? Table
Ouija
tipping,
board.
That has that whole kind of woo-woo, like darker kind of.
Yeah, I've seen this movie.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not going to say seance. I'm gonna call them like a trance session. Like, oh, it's going to be a trance session, and then that was what I tried to coin it. And people would say a trance session. Like, well, what is that like?
Oh, like a seance?
And then it'd be like, I would describe it, and they'd go like a seance, and I'd be like. Yeah, I like a seance.
Son of a bitch.
This guy's tripping over words not to say like I'm kind of like intuitively coaching.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you're kind of like psychic? Yeah, I'm kind of like psychic.
Got it.
He totally is, because he'll say things sometimes when we're in here where it's just like, you knew exactly what to ask. What I just said this with a guest that we had on yesterday. I was like, you asked a question that he needed to be asked, because you could tell he had never thought about it. It was a guy that was dealing with extreme grief. And Randy asked him what he wanted for himself. And he was like,
what was his wish? I asked what
he was like, I haven't thought about that for himself.
Was for his son. And he was easy, it was easier for him to say that. But then with him, he just couldn't take in how he's helping people, even just sharing his story, even if it's not a beautiful place where he's at in the moment, right? Even if it's not easy. And I asked him the question, do you have a wish for yourself, as the last question? Because I was sort of told that would be something that he would walk away with and maybe, ponder and take in. But the thing is that that's the gift of sitting with people is, at the end of the day, it's not just about making a show. It's about sitting with people, sharing space with people, and helping them the way that they help. And if I can share something, you can share something.
It's easy to say, but that's not easy to do. It's not. I think it takes certain like gifted people to really be able to listen and observe.
You've been on a journey. You've gone through stuff.
Randy Spelling, welcome to Oldish.
Yeah,
what's happening right now?
you've lived life, right? But with that comes catalytic moments for change. And we either face those changes, embrace those changes, and transform, or we get stuck. So you chose to transform and then said, wow, I've had these experiences. I recognize these experiences in you. Let me ask that question.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a reading is for me, where I'm recognizing something and I'm feeling something, and then I'm going, oh, I have a question about this. Oh, they need to know this. So when I'm working with a client, I'll say, why today? At the intersection of you, me, and the universe, why today? And then they'll inherently get nervous because they think they have to answer it. And I go, oh, no, that's not for you to answer. That's me posing the question to the universe. It's my job to give you the answer, why today? And then I say, so I know you're here because you want to talk to grandma, right? Or whomever the person is. But the reality is I want to know why today. So I'm letting them know I'm going on a mission. What's the nuggets that I'm supposed to be finding for you? Like, what is that? And sometimes it's that I need to get them to be connected to somebody that I'm connected to. So I might be the golden arches in the night sky off of the exit of the life's highway, and they think, oh my God, I want a burger. And they pull off and they go, you know what? I really need a salad. Let me get the chicken salad instead. But it was the thought of getting a burger that kind of got them there.
It got them there.
But in reality, they got the
What
opportunity
they
for something
need,
else, right?
Yeah, is a chicken salad.
I have so many questions. How did you learn to interpret? I mean, how did you go from 15 to being told this?
So from the reading that I had,
Yeah.
I couldn't leave it there. So because my mom used to go to psychic fairs and she used to get readings, I would say, can I get like a second opinion on this? And she was like, a second opinion? I was like, yeah, I want to like, if I'm so psychic, then shouldn't other psychics see that? So she said, okay, well, let me go pick up some cards at the next psychic fair that I go to. And then, so she did. She got cards at the next psychic fair. She brought them back. And I was like, I'm going to go to her. And it was Reverend Maria DeAndrea. And I went to her and she did rune casting. And she cast these runes and she starts reading. And she says, oh my God, do you know how psychic you are? I went, no,
Nope.
I don't. I was like, are your little rocks telling you that? And she goes, they're not rocks. She goes, they're runes. And I was like, oh. And I said, well, what are the runes saying? She goes, the runes are saying that you're very psychic. And I was like, are the runes saying that? Or are you saying that?
Right.
And she said, well, I'm looking at your rune casting. And she goes, you really are very, very psychic. She said, are you going to do something with this? She goes, you're already doing something with this. I said, well, I'm kind of working with tarot and I'm kind of studying a little bit. And she got up from the table, walked to the phone and dialed a number. And this is me going, I'm paying for a reading. She's making a phone call. And she says to this woman, Sheila, she goes, Sheila, I'm sitting with a young gentleman who's an amazing psychic. And I think he needs to come work at your psychic fair. And I was like, what is happening right now? And
What are you committing me to?
she comes back to the table and she hands me this woman's number. And she said, she'd like you to come to the Staten Island Snug Harbor Cultural Center on Sunday. I go, and do what? She goes, she wants to meet you. And I'm like, this doesn't feel normal. Like, is this like a culty kind of a thing? Like, are all these psychics connected? And like, I'm being pulled into something. So I said to my mother, can I go? Now, truth be told, I was driving illegally at a very young age.
Fantastic.
Yes. So my mom would say, if you get stopped, I'm going to say that you stole the car. Just so you know. I was like, okay.
Fair.
She was like, you under the bus.
She's like, I'm just going to let you know.
Just so you know, I will ruin your life, okay?
But
I'm not going down for this.
I was like 16 and driving everywhere, right? So I drove to Snug Harbor, Staten Island Culture Center. I met this woman, Sheila, and she said, go to the back table. I'll meet you there. So I go to the back table, and I had my cards with me, my tarot cards, and she said, read for me. And I go, like right now? And she said, yeah, like right now. So I read her, and then she said, lovely, it was very nice meeting you. And I was like, okay. And then she got up and like walked away, and I didn't know what to do. Like, do I politely just leave?
Right.
Because she kind of gave me the impression
do
like,
I follow her?
It sucked. Like it was that kind of vibe. And then some other woman like walked up to me, and she handed me a admission ticket, like a little, like you would get like in the old days in the movie theater. And she hands me a ticket, and I was like, what's that? And she goes, well, I think I give you the ticket, and then you give me a reading. And I was like, I looked at it, and it said John, the client's name, and whatever time it was. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. This is a mistake. Come with me. So I walked back to the front desk to the woman, Sheila, and I was like, Sheila, I said, I think there's a mistake. And she says, what's the mistake? I said, well, this woman just handed me a ticket to do something. Is there another John here? And she said, nope, just you. I go, you want me to read this woman? She said, yes. I go, like right now, today? And she said, yes. I read 9 people. That was my first psychic fair. I read 9 people that day. And that's how my journey began.
Wow. When you were reading, A, were you scared? And B, how did you fall into a place of trust when this is brand new for you?
Oh, I think it's because I'm a total seeker and nosy as shit. Like, I just need to learn more and more and more and more. And I've been a student of the universe for 40 years now. So for me, it was like, it was exciting and fascinating. And I loved seeing people's reactions to what I was saying.
Did you at all on that first day, though, feel like I'm just going to fake myself? I'm going to fake it through this day. I'm going to like, this isn't real. No, you were like,
no,
okay,
because I had my cards. So like, that was my crutch.
Oh, got it. So that was
That was my crutch.
Oh, okay.
So
I see.
I felt very confident that I knew what the cards meant.
Right.
So, and
You
then
could give a reading.
I would like, do the reading. I would tell them what was in the cards.
Right.
But all other stuff was like coming through. And for years, from like 1985, well into probably the 90s, I would use my cards. And I had a very dear friend who was my mom's age, who passed in 2001. Her name is Shelley Pack. Miss her terribly. She was the most amazing, I call her a Renaissance psychic, because she was a phenomenal psychic. She was a phenomenal astrologer. She was a phenomenal past life regression therapist. She was a phenomenal interior decorator and had zero humility about it. She would tell you she was good at all of it. And you know what? She was. She was that good. She could totally say it. And she one day said, why don't you put your cards down? You don't need them. She's like, what are you, Dumbo with the feather? She's like, you can fly without them. I'm like, why are you critiquing? I like working with them. It gives me a frame of reference. It gives me, it gives me something to like look at. And she said, you don't need them. And this went on for quite a while. And then she said, you know what? You wore me down. I want you to teach me about the cards. I was like, you want me to teach you? Oh my God, that's so cool. So now, foolishly, I believed her. I believe she really wanted me to teach her. So I started teaching her the cards, right? And she went along with it a good couple of weeks. And then one night she called me. She goes, I'm looking at the cards and I'm kind of fascinated by them. I was like, okay, all right.
I got you.
Here we go. What do you want to know? She's like, I want to know what card is the Harry card. I was like, the Harry card? I was like, there's no Harry card. Oh no, there's no Harry card? I go, no, Shelley, there's no Harry card. She goes, okay. She's like, what card told you that I played Rhapsody in Blue for my dad? I was like, there is no tarot card that tells you that you played Rhapsody in Blue for your dad. And she's like, no. She's like, what card? And by this point, I knew exactly where she was going. She goes, what card told you that my maiden name rhymed with Gershwin? There is no card, Shelley, that told me that. And she goes, you're goddamn right, there's no card. Put your cards down. You don't need them. And I was like, okay.
Right. Wow.
That is a story.
So great.
That's a good story.
I love that. Like that whole reverse cycle, like you just play along.
She did to me another time because she wanted me to study astrology. And every time something would happen with the astrology, she'd be like, well, Mercury's retrograde and that's why that's happening. And I'm like, oh, right. Mercury's retrograde. So we're going to blame Mercury for everything that's happening right now. And she said, do you do astrology? I said, nope. And she said, well, goes, then don't express an opinion about something that you don't quite understand. And I'm like, okay, but Shelley, like, you're going to tell me that for a 3-week period of time, we're going to blame all snafus and communication and traffic and all that stuff on Mercury's appearance in the sky to be, retrograde. Mm-hmm. And she said, yeah, John, we are. She's like, because that's what us astrologers do. Uh-huh. She's like, this is how this works. So then
I love that confidence.
She decided to do something different. She said, and I quote, would you like to teach a workshop with me? I was like, I would love to teach a workshop with you. And she knew that I'm kind of like OCD. Uh-huh. So my appointment book was color coordinated with highlighters, right?
Wait, how old were you at this point?
20.
So you're 20. Like, you have a color-coded appointment book and you're about to go teach a workshop.
And I should tell you that it's like once the joke in my world was, it's in yellow or it's in blue, right? So it's like everything was like color coordinated, and it would help me to remember my schedule because I would look at it and I was like, it would like stay in my brain. Mm. So she said, let's do it in October. I was like, well, that's far away, Shell. I said, you don't want to do it sooner? She said, I think it's going to be better for October. She goes, you have your book out? I went, let me get it. So I get my book. She goes, don't put it in your normal colors. She's like, because I'm not really sure which weekend we're going to be able to do it. She's like, but I have 3 weekends free in October. So she goes, how about we like circle these three weekends? I went, okay, we'll do it then. She goes, but I'm not really sure yet which one. She goes, can I get back to you? She's like, I have to see how certain things play out. I went, great, no problem. She never brings it up again. She never says anything about the workshop. She never says, hey, I settled on the weekend that we want to do it, right? So now I'm feeling like, do I ask her? Like, do I say anything? Doesn't bring it up. And I'm like, okay, well, then she clearly doesn't want to do it. So I'm not going to say anything. So now it comes down to I normally was always booked like 6 months in advance. So I'm now coming to the point where I have to book out.
At 20 years old?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now I have to book out that far. And I'm booked well into now November. That month comes. That weekend, those 3 weekends, I'm now in that. And I start to notice, only because I had highlighted in a different color those weekends, that my clients were showing up on the wrong dates. There was like snafus with communication. And I, in my, sometimes daily or nightly phone call after we got done doing readings, we would kind of talk about each other's clients. And by the second week, I'm like, Shelley, this is the craziest week. And she's like, why is that? And I was like, well, I go, how honest can I be with you? And she's like, I want you to be really honest. I go, I don't know. I feel like you communicated with me that you wanted to do a workshop months ago. I said, and then you never brought it up again. I was like, that's number one. I go, so, but like everything's like really weird. Like my clients are coming at the wrong times. They're showing up at the wrong day. Like people showing up at my office on days that I didn't have readings. Mm. So like there were like these moments that were happening. And she said, well, let me address the first question, the workshop. She goes, the workshop happened. I was like, oh. I was like, did you do it with somebody else? And she said, no, I did it with you. I go, you did the workshop with me? I go, did you want to tell me that you did the workshop with me? I said, because I don't remember teaching anything.
Should I have been there?
I was like, I don't remember teaching a workshop. And she goes, oh, no, you were the student. I go, I was the student. I'm like, what is going on here? She goes, the question now that you just posed to me about the disruptions in your schedule, the miscommunications, the clients coming on the wrong dates and time. She goes, the 3 weekends that I had you circle on your calendar, Mercury's retrograde. She goes, so now knowing your brain and how you have to have data, she goes, now you have it. Workshop taught.
Class dismissed.
Wow.
Class dismissed.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. She was something.
She is something, yeah.
So she was one of your big influences then.
Oh, God.
In what you do,
yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, totally.
You spoke to her every day?
I spoke to her every day. She has kids. She has a daughter that was older than me. And it would be like weird, like her husband would get on the phone and I'd be like, hey, how are you? Can I talk to can I talk to Shelly? Or hi, can I talk to your mom? You know, like we had that kind of connection.
Wow.
Yep. And she left in June of 2001.
June of 2001.
Yep.
Do you still talk to her?
I have her photo out and look at it every time I read.
Really?
Yeah.
So she's just a major driving force and influence for what it is you do.
She was just really fun, and she was really direct, and she was like just New York ballsy. And I can tell you that she's got the passion like of the subject matter that I wound up carrying that with her. You know, she predicted my wife. Every time I was dating somebody, I'd be like, she had told me, she's like, you're gonna marry somebody with a big S. I was like, I thought she said,
S.
that's what I thought she said. I thought she said, I'm gonna marry somebody with a big ass. And she goes, no, S, as in the letter S. You're gonna marry somebody with a big S. I'm like, what does that mean? The big S. Mm-hmm. And she said, I don't know. She goes, but you'll know. So fast forward, I've been very, very busy. I was traveling a lot, and I had a week of really difficult clients. Just normal, right? But I had a week of really difficult clients. I wasn't feeling validated, and I had some kind of, difficult relationships drama that was happening simultaneously. And I had previously lectured at a psychic fair where there was a mistake. The psychic fair was booked in a hotel where a ballroom dance competition was also booked at the hotel, and it was an error. And so I walked in thinking I'm going to a psychic fair, and all of a sudden, like a ballroom dance competition, and people wearing like, skimpy clothing and costumes. I'm like, am I in the wrong hotel? Like, what is happening here? And somebody came up to me because I walked into the ballroom and I was watching the dancing, and I loved music and I loved dancing, and I came from a family that they all thought they were great dancers. And somebody gave me a card for an Arthur Murray dance studio, and I took it and I put it in my appointment book. And that February, I had a really difficult run of clients, as I said, and I didn't feel like I was having fun. And my mom had died. Like, there was just a lot going on. And I took my appointment book and I was like, ugh, and I tossed it. And when I tossed it, the business card popped out for Arthur Murray. So I picked it up and I went, why not? Maybe this will be fun. And I called, and my wife, Sandra, answered the phone. And she said, how did you learn about us? And I was like, I was at the Marriott and there was a ballroom dance competition. She's like, oh, that was last November? I was like, yep. She's like, what took you so long to call? I was like, just timing. It had to be the right time. And she said, well, I don't normally take new students. She goes, but I'm going to take you. I was like, great. I go, who am I going to be working with? And she said, my name is Sandra. And in my appointment book, I went like this. I put S and then a small ANDRA, and I closed the book.
The big S.
The big S. And then it wasn't until maybe my second or third lesson that I had gone back into my appointment book to get the phone number for the studio. And I saw the big S, and by that time I was already smitten with her. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
You know what's interesting? Every single story that you have shared today, there's like a beautiful teaching in the story, and you're just telling stories. I mean, I feel like at the heart of what you do is teaching and sharing in a way that is just so true and authentic and matter of fact to you, but it comes across at like the message is there. Are you aware of that? Do you feel that?
I'm not intentional about it, but I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah, it just I don't know. It just seems.
But I think that's my style of communicating. When I'm doing a reading, I'm sharing my experiences, because my experiences are my symbolism to get me to say something.
Wow. Yeah, that's what comes across so much in you doing readings with people, in you doing interviews and just talking with you. You are committed to a level of authenticity that even in your readings, a lot of times, and the book, you'll communicate things in an almost non-emotional way.
That is intentional.
Right.
That I'm very intentional about. And I think it's because of the experiences that I had young. So at that first psychic fair that I went to, sitting in the back table with two women in front of me, and one woman turned this way, the other one turned the other way, and they looked at me and they saw that I read this woman, Sheila, and the woman to my left, she went, "Are you good?" And I said, "Excuse me?" She goes, "Are you good?" Now, how do you answer that question? As a 16-year-old kid, right? If I say yes, I'm cocky. If I say no, I have no business being there. So I said, well, I try to be as accurate with every client that I sit with as I possibly can. And the other woman said, leave him alone. He's just a kid. And she responded with, yeah, a kid who's going to take my clients. And that to me made me go, wow, I thought this was going to be spiritual.
Yeah.
And that to me was my first day. And that set me up for like, okay, they're just people. They're people with abilities.
Right.
And I learned a lot from those rooms and those people with abilities. Some of them were very inspirational and empowering. A lot of them taught me how I didn't want to be.
Next week on Oldish. Right, so did he come to you and say, John, I think I want to make our story into a book?
Here's how that happened. So he put these control items in front of me. I removed the control items and said, this has nothing to do with the case. And then I wound up getting information about the case, wound up reading for him. And, you know, he had the me moment, the moment that I had when I was first read, where my logical mind was forced to face the reality that this woman couldn't know what she knew. And I wasn't really intimidated by him, but I felt like, he was with the FBI. And then he asked me, can you help me? It wasn't my interest then, to be honest. It's not my interest now.
So what made you say yes to this?
I just wanted to take a moment to let you know that you don't have to navigate life alone. If there's something hard that you're dealing with or you're just ready for a change, then reach out to me at randyspelling.com, or you could DM me on Instagram, also at randyspelling. And if I can help you, I will. If there's a resource that I can share with you, I will also do that as well. Thanks.